Welcome to my voiceover world.
Hello.
Hey, how you
Sorry
doing?
about all that. That was a lot going on in my home.
Yeah, you're not the only one though. I also had the same thing too when
Oh,
it comes to
really?
work and stuff. So, yeah, I do outdoor construction too, so yeah. So, how you doing?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for willing to do this, Kiba.
Of course. I'm glad that you asked me. I always like doing things like this. So,
Of course. I've been wanting to say this to you, but I've been getting to know a lot about you because of that character from the show Windbreaker.
yeah.
And because of that, I've been getting to know about your characters and all of it right there. And from the
Mhm.
looks of things, you've been part of some shows that actually piqued my curiosity. And
Okay.
that's what led to my desire that if I am to interview you, I like to know about how is it like about being in voice acting and everything, like many others that I have done for almost 4 years.
Yeah. Mhm. I am very, very grateful for the career that I've had the past 13 something years. So, I'm really happy to have been a part of some amazing shows and be a part of franchises that I grew up watching. And yeah, I just hope that it continues coming and I like it.
Which is why it leads me to these questions. But you've been part of so many incredible projects, right? So
Mhm.
let me ask you this. How does it feel about being part of so many incredible projects that are yet to come?
It's an amazing experience and feeling to kind of be involved in things that kind of shaped me as like a kid and as an adult, and to like know that the people I used to listen to growing up on Toonami and other shows, and uh now I work with them and I see them quite frequently, or I go eat with them, or we hang out, and it's like really weird, but also really fun at the same time. And I'm just honored to kind of be a voice for people that don't get a lot of representation in the media. And I think shows in general, like My Hero Academia, Black Clover, One Piece, all these beautiful shows I've had the chance to work on, a Windbreaker. I hope it inspires a new generation of actors and listen to me growing up, and then it'll be like that for them if they get into the industry. So,
Of course. Which is why this important question might pique your curiosity, but what inspired you to pursue voice acting, and what is the best decision that you have made so far that has excelled into your career? For what purpose?
I got into voice acting. I've been acting since I was 6, so I've been on stage and singing, dancing, all acting, all of it since I was 6. I lived in LA for a brief amount of time and performed with people that worked on Disney Channel and Nickelodeon. Um, I had a short music career, and then when I kind of focused on acting instead and stage, um, before I graduated high school, I was going to go to New York and be on Broadway. And I decided to shift once a friend of mine had asked me to do some fun fan projects on Tumblr, like Ask blogs and stuff like that. And I was like, I didn't realize that I could do voiceover as a career. And so that's con season, because I was also a cosplayer. I decided to ditch all my cosplay plans and just go to these conventions and kind of get some information from other actors and see what the industry was like and if it was something I was going to vibe with. And I fell in love with it. And I started auditioning online for other indie games and other projects. And Chris Rager, who's amazing, love him so much. We were at a con together and he heard my demo reel and was like, "You ever think about moving to Texas?" And for me, I was like, "No, I don't want to move to Texas. Not really on the plan." But he had said that I would have a really successful career in anime if I did. And so I decided to make the jump. And I think that was my best decision I've made, was because I was all remote before. And if I had kept going, I don't think I would have had the success I have now. And I think moving to Texas was like a scary thing, but I had to like push my fear aside and just go. And so I sold like most of my instruments that I played and sold a bunch of my belongings and just got my bills and picked up and moved to Texas. And Funimation called me. And ever since I've been working with Crunchyroll and doing some crazy cool stuff. And I'm really grateful I made that decision.
Well, that's very interesting to hear from you. And so that's how you got into voice acting because of all those things.
Yeah.
But you know something? That little story of yours reminded me of myself because when I was 6 years old, I had a dream of seeing myself on TV with all those cartoon characters, and I never knew about anime back then. But by the time the show One Punch Man appeared before me,
Good
it
show.
opened my eyes to anime.
Mhm.
It made me discover voice acting and everything. And that's what led to my desire of becoming a voice actor, which is why right now I just got myself into college in Santa Fe and just trying to get, and for the theater code teacher that I might get in the fall semester, he was involved in One Piece. So that's
Oh,
why
cool.
learning from a One Piece voice actor who is an additional voice will give me the education I need to develop my skills and become an improved professional. Just like how Tim Friendler told me that he'd gone to college in the age of 22, which I'm 22 right now.
There you go. That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so yeah, that's, and I should thank you for that little reminder right there. So yeah.
Of course.
Well then, now then, for the characters about the characters that you played as, but do you remember the first ever character that you ever voiced as? And what was the experience like? Like your first ever audition?
Yeah. My first ever voice role, I actually was on a website called Behind the Voice Actors, and they used to do auditions for like indie projects and fan projects and some stuff that was like that actually grew into something bigger. And that was like the website that I had back in the day in 2012. And I was auditioning for a original comic series called Love Game. And I remember there were a bunch of characters, and then there was one that was like the 16-year-old who was like the lead of the comic. He was the main character, and I was like 17 or 18 at the time. And I was like, oh, I'll audition for all of them, but I'm probably not going to get anything. And I remember I think a week later I woke up one morning and I got my email and it was like, "Hey, we cast you in this project." I was so thrilled because I was like, "Oh, I can just be in this." And then they were like, "Oh, you're going to play this character named Boku Tamagawa who was the lead, the 16-year-old." And so my first ever voiceover role was a main character, and that like kind of validated the process of me kind of shifting away from stage for a bit and going to voiceover. And so that was great. And then like my first anime ever. I was doing a convention before I moved to Texas. I was doing a con in Dallas, called AllCon, and a Funimation actor friend of mine had asked if I wanted to Uber over to Funimation since I was in town and watch him work for the day. And I was done with all my convention duties at that time, so I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do it." So I Ubered over to Funimation. It was like 30 minutes from the hotel, and I walked in super nervous and waited in the lobby. And then my friend came in. He's like, "Hey, yeah, he's with me." And I watched him record a bunch of different shows. And his last session of the day was for All Out, the rugby anime. And the director walked out and was like, "Hey, like, you're an actor, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "I need more guys for this show. Do you want to jump in the booth real quick?" And I was like, "Are you sure?" And so I did a little additional voice role for that. And, I that was like probably 2 months or 3 months before I decided to move to Texas. And that was my first ever anime credit was on All Out. So it was great. It was a great feeling.
So, that was your first ever anime. It was all
Mhm.
out. I'm just
Mhm.
trying to
Yeah.
make sure so that just in case if I ever do a voice showcase for you,
Yeah.
just like how I did it for like many others for almost four
Yeah.
years. Like recently I just did one for Richard McGonagall, one of my childhood voice actors, as a way to, you know, trying to take someone's request of just getting it done. And
Yeah.
also that way with your voice showcase in chronological order, it will just all be said it.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
yeah. So I should thank you for that knowledge.
Of course.
Now then, how does it feel about stepping into the role of the characters Shikamaru and Dachuman in One Piece? What do you love most about voicing them?
Oh my gosh. I mean, One Piece is a crazy, crazy project to work on. I remember my when I first moved to Texas, I had worked with Joel McDonald, who was the original director for One Piece. He's incredible. Love him so much. He now works at Gearbox for the Borderlands series. Um, and we became close friends really quickly after I'd taken a class with them, and he's like, I'm gonna bring you in for One Piece. So I've been in One Piece since like episodes 300, 400, whatever, as background characters in every arc I've been in, basically. And kind of we have a joke that like if you're in One Piece, it's like your rite of passage as an actor um, at Crunchyroll. And so I remember when Emily Fajardo had taken over and Anthony Bowling was directing still. We got to the Wano arc and they had me as a character named Dachimon. And I was like, oh, cool. Like this little, I actually have a named character in the show. Um, and it was a little short-lived piece, but it was so much fun to like actually get something after so many years of just being, in the background. But really, Joe, the other character I voiced in One Piece, came like the next day. And that was when I realized like I had a little bit more to do in One Piece with, the Straw Hats and everything like that. So I think just being in One Piece, being any of the characters there, it's been really fun and I get to do something new every day with that show. Every time I get called in for it, it's always like I have no clue what I'm going to be doing because I could be a toy soldier, I could be a snail phone, I could be, these pirates on another ship. It's just so much fun to play pretend with that show. So I'll always be grateful for One Piece and Dachimon and Joe are my faves. I love them.
That's very interesting to hear from you, because all I know is that I've gotten to know about One Piece like literally a lot, and also I got to meet some people of the entire show, including Emily herself,
Yeah,
who, as it
Emily's
turns
great.
out, she's a very cool person from what I am seeing.
Yes.
But and you being part of it was a genius move that was ever done there, and quite frankly, One Piece has been going on quite recently. Especially with this one character that actually piqued my curiosity by the name of Emu,
Yeah.
the main antagonist. But
Yeah.
if I was in One Piece, you know who I like to do?
What? Who?
Loki.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause I'll be like, so, you came here to me, boy. It's no wonder why I have been seeking someone since I have been chained up for all these years. So yeah, that's a desire I'm working.
Yeah.
But in order to get there, I just need to continue my classes and everything in order to get there.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
exactly. Thank you for that.
Of course.
Well then, playing Erwin Marcio in the anime 86 must have been so exciting, right? So let me ask you this. What was your most favorite aspect about bringing that character to life in the project?
Irwin was an interesting character because that was an instance where the community, like the fan community of anime, had this rumor going around that I was another character in the show, and I had seen it come up on like my credits for IMDb and stuff, and I was like, I've never worked on this show, and so I emailed Bang Zoom and I was like, hey, just letting you know. There's this thing going around that says I'm this. I know I'm not in the show. I'm not claiming this. Can you like figure out maybe way to like take it down? And they're like, "Oh, we'll look into it. Thanks for letting us know." And I was like, "Okay, like whatever." And then like 2 weeks later, I got an email that I was in 86 as Irwin. And Marcel was such a cool character because I'm not like him at all when it comes to how like aggressively jealous and mean he is. And I think what was really fun with working with Ezra, the director in that show, was that he was able to pull some really deep stuff out of me. And it was a lot of crying, a lot of screaming, and a lot of anger. which was actually really therapeutic because we recorded that while we were still in lockdown for the pandemic. So, I remember I was in my little closet booth at home and recording remotely from Texas to LA. And, I had all that pent up feelings from just being locked in. And he kind of had that same kind of journey of feeling like he can't express how he feels fully because he doesn't understand why the main character is the way that they are. Um, Especially after what happens with his friend. And, I just love that show. 86 is such a great show, and I hope people watch it. I'm just glad to be a part of it because I don't get to do a lot of dramatic shows like that. And he didn't have any moments of like comedy, which was nice because some anime they do the dramatic and then they have moments of comedy in the middle. And I thought all of it was really fun to just stretch my dramatic chops. So I like that show.
That's a very interesting thing to hear from you, because all I know is that I've got to know about the show 86 because of, everyone in it through Billy Kometz, Alex Lee, through everybody right there. But you know
Mhm.
something? If you talking about Ezra, are you talking about Ezra Weiss, the director of Miraculous Ladybug and all those different projects that has been going on since 2000?
Yes, that is Ezra. Yeah, he's incredible.
Indeed. But I give props to Ezra for directing the entire series and for him just being a great, honest person from what I am seeing so far. So, yeah, that's something I like to say about it. Well, then, in Lazarus, what stood about you voicing the character Jill?
Oh my gosh, Lazarus was like a dream come true for me because um I've been a fan of Cowboy Bebop and Shinichiro Watanabe for a very long time. That's one of the first anime I ever watched. Late night on Toonami, my friends and I would come over at each other's houses and sleep over and watch Toonami on the weekends, like in fifth or sixth grade. And Cowboy Bebop was on, like on reruns rotation, and it was like I never thought I would work on a project like that. And so when Sentai had asked me to come audition, I like did instead of driving like I usually do because it's a 4 hour drive from Dallas to Houston. And I'm like, that's fine, I'll do it. I was like, you know what? I really don't feel like driving. So it was like the first time I like flew in and then flew back the same day for an audition. And they wouldn't tell me what it was at first. And I had to be like put in a closed room and they talked to me about the project and I remember as they were telling me about it I was like, oh my gosh, I know what this is. And I auditioned for a bunch of different characters at first and some of the main characters in the show, and then I flew back, didn't hear anything, and I got an email from the person who books the show and they were like, we'd like you to play Jill, but our producer wants to give you a phone call first. And I was like, okay, that's weird. um, and Joey, the producer at Sentai, he called me and he was like, so Jill is, this transgender character. We really want to portray them accurately and respectfully, you know, and we just want to let you know too that Sentai and AMC, we have your back if there's any backlash or anything like that. And I was still discovering kind of my whole feel about gender fluidity and my non-binariness. And Jill was kind of like the first time I was like, okay, this feels correct to like portray a story like this because I think it's important that it's not made for a joke and that it's not done in a way that people are gonna just like see that character as a bit rather than like important part of the story. And so I accepted the role, went and recorded it, had a great time getting to be a part of it. Jack Stansbury is an amazing actor as Axel. Um, and then I just waited and I was like nervous because when it came out, I was like, I don't know what people are going to say. And of course, you have the typical trolls who are like, this character sucks, blah, 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 for no reason, just because they're different. But I got so much love from the community and messages from people talking about how they were so excited to see someone of the queer community voice um, Jill, and I had a great time. Jill's my baby. Jill's amazing character. I wish there was more of Jill in Lazarus. Um, but the show is just so important, and to be on an actual Toonami debut exclusively for Adult Swim, my little kid in me was like, "That's so cool!" Like, I get to be a part of history with a Shinichiro Watanabe project like this, and it premieres on the station on the program, the timing block that I grew up watching is like, it was like just a good feeling. So I love Jill.
Interesting. So
Mhm.
that's what you like about playing that character. Because all I know is that I've got to know a lot about Lazarus, and that right now the current episodes are being aired on Toonami. But you being part of it was a genius move, and I give props for the way you just spoke like a true person right there. Whether they're non-binary or not, that you just do very well playing that character.
Thank you.
And that's what I because believe me, met a lot of non-binary people and I respect them for what they truly are on the inside. Only their personality and their behavior is what matters the most.
Yeah.
That's
Agree.
who I am on the inside. Well then, your character, Dew from Fire Emblem Heroes, must be a legendary character, right? What made that role so special to you?
What I loved about Do is that I'm the first English voice actor ever to play that character, and the Japanese voice actress is the first ever Japanese actress to play that character. Because the game that Do is from didn't come over to the West and was also on the Super Famicom, so it didn't have voice acting. So, we when that audition came through, I was super excited because I was like, at least I get to audition for Nintendo. That's awesome. As a gamer myself. And then when I booked Do and recorded it, it was surreal because again, it was also inside remote in my closet that I recorded it. And I remember Nintendo was like, it's gonna be a while before we announce this. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. I'm thinking like a year, like that's usual. And it ended up being 3 years. And so I was sitting on it for a very long time. And when it got announced, I was so excited because Fire Emblem Heroes is such like a big thing. Like it really kind of helped the gotcha craze when Genshin and all that came through too. And Do is just like so cool, and I hope that we get a remake of Fire Emblem 4 so that people in the West can play it and it gets full voice acting. Because I would really love to be a part of like an actual Nintendo release on the Switch 2 or whatever system they decide to put it on. Um, and I've been a fan of Fire Emblem for a while now. And again, it's just the same thing like with Lazarus, just being a part of a franchise that I grew up playing and being a part of like with my friends is just kind of a full circle moment. And Do is great. I love Do.
Well, that's the most interesting thing to hear from you, because all I know is that I've got to know about Fire Emblem because of some people that I've been meeting over the years, including one of the Fire Emblem voice actors that I just interviewed with days ago, Jacob Barley from the game Three Houses, or just Warriors Three Hopes, who does the father of Lucy and Dodge. And and you being part of it was just a unique choice. And I give props to Patrick Seitz for bringing you in there. Because, hey, Patrick is a very awesome person when it comes to not only being a voice of My Hero Academia and everything, but a good director of all projects.
Patrick's amazing. I actually worked with Caitlin Galt for Fire Emblem because they co-directed that for together, which Caitlin's amazing as well. She's in Fire Emblem too, and Shin Megami Tensei and all those games. But Patrick's amazing. Working on My Hero and getting to play off Endeavor has been cool in the past, and just getting to be work with that whole production team was really fun.
Well, that's very interesting to hear from you. Never knew that you worked with Caitlin until you told me. So, thank you for that knowledge right there.
Of course.
Well, then, being part of the anime show Eden Zero as the voice of younger Foot brother must have been so cool, right? So, what's the most awesome thing about bringing that character into the anime?
Eden Zero was really cool too because that was one of the first times that Bang Zoom just kind of reached out to me and was like, "Hey, like no audition." They were just like, "We want to cast you as this character." Um And at first, I thought it was just like a little bit side thing, but then I realized that I had a brother, and we were kind of this duo in the first episode or so. And Joe Hernandez, who played the other brother, who's Daruk and Zelda, that was really fun to play off of him. And that show is just so crazy and wild that like it's it's just it's so cool. The characters from like the fairy tale universe and this big show that everyone's been waiting for, and just being a part of the premiere stuff is like cool for me. I mean, it's at first you don't think anything of it, but then you look back and like realize, you're part of you're putting a stamp on history of like being the voice of these characters, no matter if it's remade in the future or not. And Brooke Chalmers was amazing to work with. I worked with him on Genshin too, as a director, and he's one of my favorite people in the world, and he's just really funny. And that session was all laughs because we had to just be super, super crazy about the main character's feet and legs, and it was just fun being a goofball in that show. And yeah, Eden Zero. I hope I get to do more with that series, or even just anything in the fairy tale kind of universe, multiverse.
I see. So that's what you like about that show. Because all I know is that I got to know about Eden Zero through Netflix and everything, and that I've got to meet some people. Well, your character, Cider House Leader in My Hero Academia, must have a unique presence, right? So what's the most coolest thing about bringing that character into the show?
My Hero was the show that I wanted to work on the most when I moved to Texas the first time. I really had that as my goal. I said, My Hero is my favorite show right now. I've read the manga. Um, the show is just so good. And I was like, I just want to be in this show. I don't care what as, even if it's a background character. I don't care. And Colleen Clinkenbeard is legendary alone just from her voice roles like in One Piece as Luffy, but also as a director. She's just an incredible human being and fun person to work with. And I got the email during the pandemic. I was at my desk teaching virtually, and I got an email about being in My Hero, and I like freaked out and cried. And I went to my booth in my closet and did the session with Colleen, and it was just these two little bit characters that had like a scene apart, and it was just a test. They had one line each. They just had to test my voice is what she was doing. And then a week or two later, I got an email that I got Cider House. Um, and that session was so much fun because I got to be like kind of boisterous, but also just seeing my hero, my voice coming out of a My Hero villain was awesome. And I think the coolest part was that was the first time that Toonami used my voice clips as their commercial for like a whole week before the episode aired on Toonami. So I had asked some friends to take video of like the credits to see if my name would come up. And they're like, oh, your episode's next week, but here's this. And they showed me the preview, and it was like next on Toonami, My Hero Academia. And then it was just all my voice. Like the whole like, and that to me was like so cool because then I had all my friends like in other states that I'd grown up with being like, are you in My Hero Academia? Like I just heard you on TV. And I was like, that was a cool full circle moment for me. My and Cider House is still one of my more popular characters. Even though he had only one episode in each season of 5 and 6, people really liked how I brought him to life, and he was memorable. And that's my job as an actor, is to make a character memorable and interesting. And I'm glad I could do that with someone so short-lived, but also just really iconic in the same way.
That's very interesting to hear from you. Because hey, My Hero Academia has been the most popular show around here. And plus, I give props to Colleen for bringing you in there, since you said yourself that you read the manga and that you have the desire to be in it, and you made that wish come true. And here's the best part. The final season of My Hero Academia will come around like in a few months, around the fall or something. And
Yeah.
when that time comes, ooh, it will break the internet eventually.
Yeah, yeah.
Right on the money.
I'm gonna be a mess. I'm gonna be crying because I've already finished the manga, so I know what's gonna happen. But the anime, I can't wait to see how they animate it, and I'm just glad My Hero gets the send off it deserves. It was such a good show.
Yes, indeed it will be. Now then. I had the last questions there due to the time there, but oh, this is the one thing I like to ask. But as Tsusuku Tsukubono in Windbreaker must have been the most coolest character to play as, right? So what's your most favorite thing about bringing that character to the entire project of Windbreaker?
I've been doing this a very long time and I've been really craving that one character that would kind of get me the notoriety and the things that I would hope for in voice acting. And I voiced a lead in Phantom of the Idol. I've done some other stuff, but Crunchyroll, I haven't had that character that's been recurring or kind of like a mainstream character yet. And I've been working a long time to make that happen. So when Windbreaker happened, the director had asked me to audition for a character, and I kind of like I love to research like and try to sniff out what character they're gonna send me. And I found Subakino and I was like, I think it's gonna be this character. And I did my audition, I sent it in, and I was really nervous because I was like, he may want me for this, but he might hear someone else and then go completely different direction. And luckily, as season two started airing, I didn't get an email, and I was like, I didn't get this character. I was like, this character is totally me in real life, like from every single bit of it. And I was like, I really want this, but I probably didn't get it. And I realized that Suzuki didn't even show up until episode 5 of season 2. So I got an email right before the episode aired in Japan. And I like got really excited. And then I realized that Twitter and like social media loves this character. Like it is a fan favorite character across all of Windbreaker. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be crazy. But it'll be like whatever. It'll be like people will be excited and then they'll forget about it. Then Crunchyroll emailed me for the first time and was like, "Hey, we need a headshot for a official like media release." And they had never asked me for that. So I was like, "Oh, this character's bigger than I think he is." And so when he got announced publicly, the like internet blew up, my following went up. People have been like drawing fan art and I've like become real close with the Windbreaker community and like it's just like a full circle moment that even my peers that I've worked with for years were on social media saying like finally I'm getting my flowers and you I did such a great job and that made me like tear up and cry because I was so emotional about it. But Suzuki getting to tell his story is one thing that's my favorite, but being able to tell it with someone who cares so much about the project he's working on. Jeremy Inman's an amazing person and director, and every session I have recording Subiki has been a joy. And we get so excited about what's next. So I am just thrilled, and I hope people love what I do in Windbreaker, and that I get to play Subiki for however long the show runs.
Well, that's the most interesting thing to hear from you, because I got to know a lot about Windbreaker because of the one simple person I know of by the name of Austin Tyndall. Because
His best,
hey,
his
Austin is
best voiceover role he's ever done. I'll say
yes, he
it.
did. And that you being a part of it literally blew Austin's mind when your character ended up appearing. And boy, did that character get all, oh God, like he's shy or something. Because hey,
Yeah.
doesn't matter about appearances. It's about the personality and development within us right there. Because hey, everybody has that aspect in life, even myself as well. Because when it comes to knowing everyone's behavior and what they've been going through is what leads to a lot of good progress within your own well-being.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think too with Austin, I've known him for a very long time. I think he's the longest person, like I've known him the longest out of anyone that works at Crunchyroll. And having texting him, I was like texting him, I was like, "Where'd you get your prints done? I want to get stuff." And thank you for like making it so fun to like play off of you in the booth. And we talk about how like his performance as Sakura is just so amazing. And I think it's literally my favorite thing he's ever done. And I loved him in Tokyo Ghoul, but I think that this is my favorite thing he's ever done, and he loves it. He loves this show, and that's what's so great about our cast is we love this show more than just any other mainstream thing we've done. We really love Windbreaker. It tells a great story while also having great action, and but it just has great authentic characters, and everyone who works on it, we're like one big family now. It's really cool to see.
Well, that's the most interesting thing to hear from you, and that's why I respect your performance for everything that you have ever done when it comes to just showing off a little steam within you. Because yeah, that's something I'm beginning to see so far.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Always. Well, Kiba, it's such an honor to finally meet you, and you are a very awesome person right there.
Thank you.
Always.
This has been
There's
really
one,
fun. Thank you for having me on your show.
of course. There's one more thing before you go. When people look back on your work, how do you want to be remembered as a voice actor and as a person?
I want to be remembered authentically. I want to be remembered as genuine, and I want to be remembered as someone who stood up for the little person. So, people who don't have their voice heard, people who don't have the opportunities because of location, circumstances, or beyond. I just want to be able to show that it is possible to be successful, whether you're, black, brown, anything in between, whether you're queer, ally, whatever, that the entertainment industry, your passions, your artistry, they're important and they're valid. And I've worked a very long time through a lot of people telling me I couldn't do something for years, for 2 decades, not even including just my voiceover, but past that, before that. Um, that kid that sat in front of his little CRT TV and watched Toonami and played Kingdom Hearts and watched Sailor Moon and all this other stuff, that it is possible to grow up and be successful regardless of who you are. And I'm always the nicest person, and I just want to see people succeed, and I want to have those opportunities. And I hope that people look at my legacy and see that it is possible to succeed, even regardless of circumstances. So, yeah.
You know, what you said there, you reminded me about myself back then when I used to go through a lot of trauma and everything like that when it comes to that. But fortunately, over time, because of the people that I met, including Mick Lauer and everything, I gained something priceless, something that could the the enlightenment of being there for others and just overcoming every obstacles to accomplish for my voice acting career. And working with you is one of my biggest desires that I will eventually accomplish when the time comes.
I believe it. I believe it. Just keep working hard. I believe you'll do it. Of
Yes, I will. And thank you for the encouragement.
course, of course.
Well, Kiba, it's such an honor to finally meet you, and I just hope you get into more projects, my friend.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It was lovely meeting you too, and I hope that you succeed in what you're trying to achieve.
Thank you, my friend, and you too. And I'll look forward to working with you when the time comes.
Okay.
Later.
Bye.
Want to keep up with my journey? Follow me on social media for more updates, behind the scenes moments, and all the fun along the way.